Hello, everyone. It's Coach Ricky here from the Buffalo Tribe. We're back on another episode of the Buffalo Tribe podcast, and I'm very, very excited for these episodes. I've been chasing this person for months, but mostly was my fault and my poor connection in Bali that made the podcast slide weeks and weeks and weeks. The reason why I'm so excited to have this guy here today is because he completed a marathon, which per se, it's pretty cool. The thing is that he did a marathon while pulling a car, which is insane. And the best part of it is that while doing so, he also established a new world record. If that was not enough, he also connected everything to an amazing cause that I hope he's going to talk to us about it. And this is why I'm so excited to have Corey here with us. Corey, thanks for being here with us today.
No, thanks for having me. It's an honor.
How are you doing today? Where are you? Tell us a little bit what's going on.
I'm at home today. I've been on holidays for a little while from work, which is good. So it's I guess the last 9 months has been really hectic, as you could probably tell. But and I've been away from family a little bit with all the training and work and stuff that's been going on. So it was good to just have some quality time with the family for a good couple of weeks. And I've had about 2 weeks straight off the world's strongest marathon of doing nothing. So I'm ready to get back into it.
So just to make it clear, this guy's been training for like 8-9 months to do this marathon. I heard a little bit about the training regime, which I hope he's going to tell us a little bit more. He finished this insane marathon, and 2 weeks in, I find him on Instagram again, running at nights, like 2 or 3 in the morning with a 10-kilo weight vest. And that his idea of like, I took a break, just 2 weeks, and then back in the middle of the night in the woods with rain, with heavy weight vest, because why not? So, mate, what are you doing now? Like, we're going to go into the world record marathon attempt later on, and we're going to dig into all the details, but you have your mind already on something else now?
Yeah, I just have my mind on something a little bit personal at the moment. So we have this race here in Australia, and it's called Ultra Trail Australia. It's a part of the Ultra Trail World Series. That's they travel the globe doing the world's best ultra marathons. And this is it easily have to be in the top 10 best ultra marathons in the world to do. This is in my hometown, so it was my first ultra marathon that I ran, first 50K that I ever ran. It's something quite close to my heart. Previously to me going on this journey of becoming this really fit guy that I am today is I used to actually weigh 126 kilos.
Wow.
You've probably seen the photo on my Instagram. I was a really big butterball
today, right? Just one of
yeah
photo. Yeah, I saw that.
yeah. So I'm actually going to run this UTA 50 race at my old body weight.
Oh, wow.
So I'm currently weighing 100 kilos now. Just under 100 kilos. I think I'm 99.8 or something. So by the time I probably get down to 96, by the time I get to the race, and I'll be running with a 30-kilo weight vest.
I'm like, I don't know, like on one side, I'm not even surprised anymore. Because like he set the bar so high, and like everything you do, I'm like, yeah, of course this guy's gonna do it. Like, there's no chance he won't do it. Like, I would be surprised if you tell me like, yeah, I'll just run a marathon. It's like, is that it? I always now expect a little bit of extra spice on top. And wow, that's crazy. And the photo that you posted a few days ago, it really highlights how things have changed for you. And one thing I wanted to ask you, because I've heard, like, the reason why I started to follow you, because I heard you into another podcast when I was out on my bike ride. And like, it was just like your whole story. I was not even looking at the roads or my watch. I was just so hyped up listening to your story. I just crashed my bike, and I got back home like 20 minutes before I was like, oh my God, this guy. Because, like every time you see people doing these crazy stuff, sometimes it's really easy to think like, oh, he was born athletic. Oh, that's what we've always been doing. And it's really easy to associate that with someone that have always been fit. But I remember from your story that that's definitely not your background. Like, can we wind back a few years and see what was your starting point?
I mean, when I was growing up, I was really sporty guy. So I wasn't overweight, nothing at all. I played a really high level of rugby league. I don't know if you've heard of that sport, but I used to play a really high level of that. I was at professional clubs for a little bit. not playing professional, but just in their lower grades.
Okay.
Um, and then when I was playing in those higher grades, my pop, he was a father figure to me growing up, and he actually passed away.
Oh,
And so when he passed away, when I was it would be when I was 17 years old, um, that's when I just started to take a downward spiral. I quit rugby league, went back to park football, which isn't really a good environment for a young kid to be around because everyone's just drinking and partying and all of that. And yeah, when I quit football, I was weighing just over 80 kilos.
hmm.
And so I put on almost 40 kilos in a year.
That's like, it's,
Yeah,
I don't know how to
almost a
describe.
kilo a week.
Yeah, like you have to try to make that. Like it just doesn't happen. It's sort of
Yeah,
it's almost like I don't want to say self-sabotaging, but it's probably
it was.
probably was.
Yeah,
I wanted to make
yeah.
sure that I was using the right words because
Yeah, no,
you
no,
know,
no need to sugarcoat it. Like 100% was self sabotage, and that was, um, and that was me, I guess, substituting, not wanting to believe that my pa was gone.
yeah.
And then from there, I was still in this trap for about a year or so, just gaining the weight, gaining the weight, gaining the weight, and then the reason why I had my pa as a father figure, I always had my dad around.
Yeah.
Well, my mum and dad got divorced when I was 6. He was always there, but I never had a good relationship with him growing up. It was always painted the picture that he was the devil, you know, that
We
he
have
wasn't a good
a very
man.
similar story on that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, when I was going through that really rough patch, there was one night I was on a come down from a big bender. I think I was awake for like 4 or 5 days. And I was stupidly enough driving home. When I drove home, I was driving home, I saw a train station and I just thought, this is it. You know, I don't even want to, I don't want to live on this earth anymore. And I pulled over to the side of the road and the first person I called was my dad, the
Wow.
person who I had the shittest relationship with growing up. Don't know why I called him. I was probably still on a high at the time. And I called him. And if he didn't answer that phone, I probably wouldn't be here today. And the next day, after he dropped that phone, my mum come and got me, blah, 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 went back to my mum's place. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the next day or the day after. I moved an hour away from where I lived, or an hour and a half away from where I lived, and lost all my friends, deleted all social media, just
Wow.
got rid of everything, and just basically went cold turkey and tried to really find out who I was, yeah, and what I wanted to be.
That's yeah. I got goosebumps to hear that because like it's like to make that step or to be really close to make that step, it's you must have been on a real low because we
Yeah,
often have like low times, but we don't always go like so deep down into the pain cave that we think like, hey, just get out of the here might be the best solution for me.
yeah.
And so like I wanted to just ask you, like, was there like a gradual process? Like, have you had those thoughts before in your head? Because there might be people struggling with that. And so if we can identify
Yeah.
maybe some traits that led you to have maybe that decision.
I think it really was that self sabotage,
Yeah.
and it wasn't when I look back on it, it wasn't actually um I didn't want to leave this earth. I just wanted to be with my pa again.
Yeah.
So when I look at it, it's like I didn't really want to die, but I just wanted to be with him. And because every time I would get high, I would see him and feel like I was talking to him, and like so he was always there. It's always in your subconscious what everything that's going on when you get on that stuff. But yeah, I think it was a gradual thing just through the self sabotage that I was going through, was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And like, it started off with me just going out on the weekend, and then toward the back end, I was taking stuff almost every single day, you
Well,
know,
yeah.
midweek. And yeah, it's
Having
pretty.
coming from like a from an environment like that, I can relate on your story on many levels. We have probably like two very different stories, but on some stuff, going from sport to like a dark place, coming out of it, and now do extremely painful stuff. There's some like traits that I find between me and you. What I wanted to ask you is that during that year where you gained so much weight, where you probably were not yourself because you had like all those thoughts in your head that culminated to that night and that phone call that saved you, wasn't there anyone around that tried to like, hey, what's happening? Like, what's going on here? Because you have your mates, you have your people around yourself. How was it?
Yeah, my mum and my mum's side of the family, who I lived with at the time, like they knew I wasn't myself. Like
Yeah.
they saw the gradual me putting on the weight. They saw me taking the drugs and getting worse and worse and worse. And I was 17. I was still a teenager.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna listen to my mum. I want to go out with the boys. Like that's
Yeah.
just that was my mentality at the time. And I thought that I guess using those drugs and being with my mates was going to give me a good sense of like self relief. Like I can be myself around these guys, but I actually wasn't being myself. I was losing absolutely everything. Yeah, and come to think of it, when I actually moved out here to the Blue Mountains where I live now, one friend out of probably 100 I thought I had at a football team called me once I deleted social media and everything and said, "What are you doing? Where are you?" One person,
it's
and I'm still friends. And I'm still friends with that guy to this day.
yeah. It,
Everyone else I don't have contact with.
it's yeah, like I feel you on a very deep level. I
You know
understand
what's funny,
exactly what
Ricardo?
hmm?
You know what's funny?
What?
When I smashed this world record, guess how many people come out of the
Ooh,
woodwork?
everyone. Mate,
Oh, we should catch up soon. We should catch up soon. Let's go for a run soon. I hope you're doing well. I miss you, bro. Like, what the hell? I haven't spoken to you in like 5 years.
it's crazy. Like I kind of really relate because I moved away from my hometown. I've been living abroad for quite some time. So I have like two really close friends. It doesn't matter what happened, they'll always be there. But a lot of people that I thought were friends or teammates or stuff that at the time were like literally like brothers.
Yeah.
Some of them, the day that we stopped to play together, I haven't heard or seen them
Yeah.
ever after that. I can't blame it all on them because also I haven't called back or anything like that. But I
Yeah.
can really relate what you mean. Like some of those friendships that you think like, oh, this person can like really
Yeah.
cares about me, and if there's anything I can count on. When you go through rough times, and you see like, oh fuck, it was actually I thought it were 100 people. It's probably maybe one that I can
Yeah.
bring up on the phone now
Definitely.
and that I need. And for you, for example, that person was your dad. Is like I have one person on earth now that can stop me from doing something that I might regret, and that phone call like literally saved you. So
Yeah.
what I'm what I'm curious about, you make the phone call, you're like, I'm done with these people, I'm done with social media, I need to get out of this, I need to clean myself up. What did you do next?
So I moved out to the Blue Mountains, and my dad's environment, they are all really, really healthy. Not that my mum's side wasn't healthy, but they all ran ultra marathons. They're all runners. They all played, they all played sport, did everything. So when I came out of here, just that instant change of environment made me drop a couple of kilos anyway. I still would have been. So this is how I got into, I guess, becoming fit again. Was I was out in the Blue Mountains. I was living with my dad for a couple of months, and he woke me up at like 4:30 in the morning, and he said, and mind you, I think it was like -6 where I live, and he's like, "You're coming to do a half marathon with me," and I was like, "What? I'm not." Mind you, I'm probably about 120 kilos here,
Oh
and
wow.
he's like, "Yeah." So I hadn't lost much weight, only from really eating and doing little bits and pieces in the gym, but not fully enthusiastic about it all. And yeah, when I went and did that half marathon, and that changed my life really. From there, from that half marathon, I collapsed at the end. It was only 2 months later I ended up doing a 50K run. So I ended up doing my first ultra, which is UTA 50. I would have been about probably 105 there at the time, which is still pretty heavy for what I was. And I wasn't actually at that time. it wasn't muscle; it was still fat
Yeah.
at that time. So I'm like 99.8 now, but it's mainly all muscle at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference between what I was. I was carrying a lot of fat back then. So and it was only a couple months. Actually, I think it was 2 months after I ran my first 50 was when I went and entered a 24-hour race. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I'm a very addictive person. So if I do something, I need to go 100% at it.
That is
Um,
exactly what I wanted to go next.
yeah.
I'm like, it seems like you have no gray zone, and I can also really rely on that. If you're into something, you're 100%, whether that's
Yeah.
going out and drinking or taking drugs, or whether that is going out and smash a workout. It seems like there's no in between. It's like this addicting personality that, if turning onto something right, can produce
Yeah.
something amazing, as you've done previously, like with a marathon. Or if they take on something that is bad, that they can literally take you down and destroy you. What
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you is, how do you deal with that? Like, have you accept the fact that kind of whatever you're going to do, you're going to pour 100% it, or you wish you could just enjoy things a little bit more relaxed? Because I'm kind of like you. Like, if
Yeah.
I go for it, recently I was like, I want to do an Ironman. The first goal was like, I want to complete it. And then a week in, I set a time. And a week after, I set another hour back and then another hour back. So in 3 weeks' time, I took off 3 hours off of it. I was like, no, if I do it, I'm going to suffer and I'm going to make it right. I'm not just going to
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
complete. And you sound really like that.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm like my own worst critic with everything, as I'm sure you are too. But I think my wife would prefer me to take a more relaxed look at everything. I was at the back end of World's Strongest Marathon training, and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do next. Like I always need to have something going. It's just how my brain works. Like I need to be always training. I need to always like my week needs to be jam packed. Otherwise, I feel like I have not achieved anything at all. And like as you said, with goals and stuff like that. So like say I like to set goals for myself, very high expectations for myself. And with this addictive personality, like I'll go for a run. Like the boys will say, "Oh yeah, let's go for a run," and I'll go for that run. But I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I can't talk to you. I'm just doing this whole thing nasal breathing." Like I just need to do like all these different things just to make sure that I know I'm beating them just by a little bit. You know, like I'll tell sometimes. Me and my mates we like to run through the night.
Yeah.
Um, Preferably, I think they like to do it with me because I like to run through the night. Well, I don't really like to run through the night, but I do it
I
all the
know,
time.
I know that
Yeah.
feeling. I don't know if everyone can relate to that, but you not liking it, but liking it is exactly, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, like I hate doing it, but it's a really good feeling at the end, knowing that you're getting out while everyone else is still asleep. Um, and I think like with that, this is how my addictive personality and wanting to be better than the next person that comes in is like, even with my best friends, like my training partner, we'll organize to go for a run at midnight and I'll start at 11, but I won't tell him. I'm starting out. He's like, "What the hell? You started out before me?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, dude. I had to get in an extra hour."
Mate, that's like, honestly, like, some people might see these as extreme, and it probably
Yeah,
is, but for me,
it
it's
is extreme, man. Like,
cool.
in all honesty, like in the open, when I sit back and look at it, it's like, yeah, okay, maybe it's a little bit overboard, but I fucking love it. Like, I wouldn't change it for a thing.
For me, like like when you talk, like if you're hearing us on Spotify, you might not see my face, but I'm smiling as you talk to this because I'm like, this is amazing. I love, like, because we live apart, but I would be just right next to you probably at 11 waiting for the other one to come at midnight to start the run, because like I find this like it's amazing, like to
Yeah,
see, especially like in nowadays society. Like, I grew up with the concept of really hard work from my,
yeah,
my early days in basketball. So for instance, we were like 12, 13 years old. If you show up to practice at 5. If you're not there at 4:50, you're late. You don't have
yeah,
to be there at 5. If you're not there like 10 or 15 minutes before, you're automatically late. And
yeah,
like, I grew up with these sort of like high standards that when I see something that is soft, I just can't cope with it. is just
Yeah.
not for me. It's like, look, that's average. I don't want it. It's all in
Yeah.
or nothing. I don't care if you're gonna be like, if you're gonna break a world record, but you give me 100% of what you have, or I have nothing to deal with you. Like, just
100%.
get out of here.
And I'll tell you what I find really funny is when someone from the out of, I guess, out of this circle that we may be in, or the views that we have, say, oh, he's cocky, you know, he's oh, he's just doing that to get attention. Well, no, I'm not. What are you doing? Oh, you're sitting on your couch just criticizing me.
It's
So until you get up off the couch and come run with me at midnight for 6 hours until the sun rises, don't come and talk to me.
yeah. Like, you shouldn't even spend time looking at it, and I'm sure you don't even pay too much attention because you
Oh,
probably
no. I find it funny. If anything, I laugh and I screenshot it to my mates, and we laugh so hard.
it's but there's these common traits like uh it's like, you know, if you can't do something, it's a lot easier to criticize it and try to be a part of, because these things
100%.
are hard. And
Yeah.
the reason why few people do it is because few are keen to go into the pain cave and stay in there.
Yep.
Everyone can be and watch Netflix. It's not that
Yep.
hard. You pay your $9,
Yep.
you sit on the sofa, and you're up for it. And like, I've always admired people like that. And honestly, I came a long way, because if I would have seen you a few years ago, as I used to, for example, watch like top level CrossFit athletes, like, oh, they're all on drugs. It's like, no, because I
Yeah.
never saw the level of training that they put in there. And after
Yeah.
I got to meet some of them and I saw the amount of hours they spent at the gym, I was like, I didn't even thought that was possible.
Yeah.
I thought 3-4 sessions a day. I was like, who the fuck does it? And I was
Yeah.
like, putting that on me, I was like, oh, I'm so far from them, and I think I work hard. They
Yeah.
must be onto something, because I'm never going to be as good as them. And then when I saw them
100%.
working, I was like, fuck, this is the hour they put in. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that sort of commitment that comes with it. By the way, I just wanted to tell everyone that we were supposed to record this podcast at 5:30, and he messaged me at 5:05, say, hey, I'm ready. So he shows up early onto everything, and I was ready a minute after that. So I was also ready like 25 minutes before the recording. This is just like to show that you actually back up what you say, and it's not show off on social media. Like, doesn't matter what, it was 25 minutes earlier than the time.
Yeah, I had to get everything set up. I had to make sure it was working because I didn't want it to ruin it.
Oh, absolutely. Same for me. I was like, I'm not going to show up at 5:30. I need to be there earlier. Everything needs to be set, and then we can go on and record onto that podcast. The next thing that I wanted to ask you, that it came to my mind when you were talking earlier, like your dad calls you do a marathon, half a marathon, and then you're already thinking to do a 50, and then you're already thinking to do a 24 hours. You're training for the marathon with a car, and you're already thinking onto your next.
Yeah.
It seems to me that you kind of like, as soon as you get something, you kind of get bored of it. I was like, all right, I got it. What's next? And do you find more pleasure and fulfillment into achieving that result, or into proving yourself that you can prepare for that result, or into the training that goes into that result? What is it that keeps you going?
I think a little bit of both. Like, I definitely like the world's strongest marathon was something that I had seen when I was obese. Like, I read Ross Edgley's book,
Yeah.
The World's Fittest Book, when I was obese.
Okay.
So like, from seeing that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you know, to coming back now, and it would have been just over a year ago when I announced that I was doing the world's strongest marathon, that I'd just finished watching Ross Edgley in a YouTube video, and I was like, you know what, I'm fit enough. I can do this. And this is to give you a little bit of interesting, like, insight, I guess, into my mindset, is that I walked out to my dad and my stepmom at 12 o'clock at midnight that night. And I said to them, I'm going to be doing the world's strongest marathon. And they're like, yeah, yeah, all right, whatever. And then because I hadn't really done much then. I'd run a couple ultras, you know, I lift heavy in the gym, but I really needed something to put myself on the world stage if I really wanted to make a career out of this, you know? And then the next day, I had a 2.5 ton car, so 1 ton over what I actually pulled on the day, and I pulled it for 400 meters. And after 400 meters, I stopped and I said, "Yep, I can do this." Like
That was it.
I didn't even have to do any training, nothing. And I was discussing it with my mate the other day. He goes, "Bro, I would have had to do major testing before I put that out there online." And I was like, "Nah, I just knew that as soon as I pulled that for 400 meters, like, yeah, no worries, I could do this."
This is just proved to me one more time that it's like, you definitely need some sort of physical ability to do this sort of test, but it's literally everything in your head. If you
Yeah.
convince yourself that you can go and you can withstand the pain, you can definitely do it. And it's funny because I run 1 hour on Sunday one day. I never do running. I used to hate running. I'm good at cardio and shit, but hate running. I ran 1 hour. I was like, I think I'm gonna do an Ironman, and I bought a bicycle the day after. And it's kind of, it's really like cute. Like I know that I can do it. Like I don't need to fucking
Yeah.
test it so much. I just need to put my head on it, and if my
Yeah.
head's on the goal, then I can go and do it. And like the thinking process was the next question that I wanted to ask is like, how did you came up with just I'm gonna pull a card for a marathon? But it seems pretty straightforward. You said it's like, you know what, fuck, I'll do it. And that's like after you make a commitment to yourself, then it's like, all
Yeah.
right, I got to do this. Like it's not a negotiable
Yeah.
anymore. Like,
Well, to make sure I kept that commitment to myself, I uploaded it to my Instagram for the whole world to see. So if anyone wanted to question me that I didn't do it, it's like, yeah, they're gonna name and shame me. They're gonna like know that I'm just a guy that says he wants to do things and that never gets it done, you know. So to put it out there into the universe to say I'm gonna get it done, and then I guess 12 months on to actually get it done is an amazing feeling. But the 8 months of training, like to get there, was pretty full on. I'm gonna say, like, it was pretty full on for me. It was time to relax and kick back for like 2 weeks, and then I'm on to doing my own Ironman thing now with that tree. So I want to try and
all that.
yeah.
Tell
So
everyone where you're planning.
everyone who knows Ross Edgley, and I think 4 other people have completed the triathlon around the globe.
Yeah.
So what they did is for this triathlon, they strapped a 45-kilo tree to their back, which is 100 pounds. Now, and triathlon's good. The triathlon's pretty cool, but I want to times that by 4 or roughly 4 and do an Ironman with it. Yeah.
Like the worst shape you could pick on earth. If there was a shape that was not designed to be any sort of aerodynamic or floating or comfortable, it would be a fucking tree. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I've watched that because even for me, Ross Edgley has been one of the first things that I saw, and I was like, oh, this guy's cool. Like he has muscles and he's fit as fuck. I want to be that guy. I want to be strong and I want to be fit. And then I saw it and I was like, all right. So he climbed the Mount Everest on rope climb. He did an Ironman and then like a triathlon with a thingy. He pulled the car, and I was like, wow, that is just, I don't know, like, yeah, it's just cool. And
It's
I'm
amazing.
glad that you're doing that you're doing these sort of things. Going back into the marathon. So you pull 400 meters the car. You realize, okay, I'm gonna do it. What comes next? Do you hire a coach? How do you decide? Like, how am I going to plan it? Where? How do I choose a track? How do I choose a car? Like, how do you actually prepare an event like this?
So I was lucky enough to have my I'm a carpenter by trade.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to have a company ute that I pulled for training and on the day. So that was really easy access for a car. It was the easiest choice that I had because it was a ute that I had with me all the time. The only thing we had to do was to take less weight out of it, was to take all the tools and stuff out. But most of the time we kept the tools in. So every single carpool I did, I was doing it at about, I think it was between 1900 and 2000 kilos. So between 1.9 and 2 tons. So I was pulling almost 600 kilos over what I actually needed on the day. Just to get, because I knew I wouldn't be able to get the amount of hours that I needed to pull. Because when I did reading into Ross Edgley's thing, he said he was doing pulls for like 20 hours and stuff like that, and I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would he be doing that? Whether he put that in there to scare people off, I don't know.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like,
Yeah.
it might not also want to release exactly what they were doing. One, to scare people off, and second, you take my record, buddy. Like, I'm not going up ahead for that.
I mean, man, I had some hater on my Instagram, and I said, bro, I'm more than happy to give you the blueprint and coach you to break my world record if you want.
Good.
I'm more than happy to give out my secrets, man. Like they're not even secrets. Like my whole training was the simplest of training that anyone could ever do. Like the hours were insane, but the movements were simple. Like yeah, it's crazy.
You squat, you deadlift, you pull.
Yep, that's it.
Mate,
Squat. I did squat, deadlift, um, rack pull, and bench. That was it.
I love this because like I'm fighting like not often, but sometimes I'm like, look, you don't need fancy shit. If you need to get
Nah.
do a few things, do it right,
Yep.
do it a lot. That's all you
Yep.
need. You don't need
And I was
complicated.
doing about 20 sets. I'll do about 20 sets of 3 reps with no break in between of each exercise. So, sorry, when I say no break in between, I mean I have about maybe 15 seconds,
Yeah.
20 seconds of rest before my next set.
So
And then
heavy,
I'll have a
heavy
big break
interval.
at the end of that. Yeah, it would be heavy. So my squat ended up getting, I think it was up to 190.
Wow.
It was box squat, yeah. And then we had my deadlift got up to 230, and that was for 3. And then my bench is really weak. It's like I think we got 130, which it's weak for me. Like I've been heavier than that, but
Yeah, I was
not a
about to
big.
say pussy was 130. That's more than many people's backs would, but that's okay. The so you do all that, and how often do you get to pull a car? Because I guess, of course, you don't have to train a marathon 3 times before you do it, but I guess you probably
Yeah.
had to build up some sort of volume into pulling the car, into realizing also what pace you're going to be able to hold,
Yeah.
if you needed any break, like how
Yeah.
was the circuit, like because I saw you went in loops, right?
Yeah. So I'll give you a bit of an insight into, I guess, the whole training spectrum. So
Yeah.
my training, I was training. I guess I say I'm training 7 days a week because I have 2 recovery days where I did absolutely nothing.
Okay.
That changed over time into the second half of the training phase where we realized that we really needed to cut down on the gym work 5 days or 4 days prior to a carpool because I was just getting way too sore on the carpools. So I was training for 4 days, 3
Mm-hmm.
days recovery, and then a carpool. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
straight after a carpool, I'd go really hard, and my carpools would be once a fortnight. So once a fortnight, I'd pull a car. I started off doing 5Ks, did 8Ks, 12Ks, 14Ks. It's just a consistent marathon build up
Yeah.
until you reach that max that you get to. Now, only one of my carpools out of everything went to plan. Out of the whole 8 months, only one of my carpools because we were just testing absolutely everything.
What went off your way? Was something that you didn't thought was going to happen and that happened, or something that like some fixing that you had to do that you thought that you didn't even thought of?
Well, probably the worst one was the amount of breaks that I thought I need to take.
Okay.
Um, that's something that because on all my training sessions I was just going.
Yeah.
So I
When you go for
didn't.
a full one, then you probably need to pace it
Yeah,
slightly
yeah,
different.
yeah. So one fortnight I was pulling a car, and then the next fortnight I was running 35 Ks to 50 Ks on that
Mhm.
alternate weekend. So when we got to race day, not race day, it would have been maybe 4 days before. We had a massive team meeting. Like, all right, this is what went wrong. This is what went right. This is what we're going to do. So we ended up doing, on the actual day, we ended up doing 3 laps, which was 4.5 Ks.
Yeah.
I needed to get 3 laps done in an hour and a half to reach 15 hours.
Yeah.
So I was doing 3 laps in just under an hour to
Wow.
start. So I had a half an hour leeway if I wanted to stop. I would stop for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because when I'm moving, I can't take in all the calories I need.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I'll sit down, take some calories in, and go again. Now, I think it was about 6 to 8 Ks in, I started cramping from my hips all the way down.
Wow.
Everything, glutes, hemis, quads, calves, everything was gone. And yeah, I wasn't dehydrated because every time I peed, my pee was clear. I don't know what it was. It could have been I was actually sick. I had almost 6 weeks before the marathon day. I probably trained 5 days in 6 weeks
I
because I
remember
was
that.
so
You were at
sick.
the
I was in
hospital.
hospital. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
remember that, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like things now are gonna get ugly.
yeah,
But
that took a lot out of me. Like that day, going to hospital and then not being able to train for about 6 weeks because I was literally so weak. Like I couldn't work. Like nothing.
how do you end up in the hospital in the first place? I don't remember exactly what happened then.
So I had obviously I was training really hard. I thought I was recovering enough. The amount of calories I was eating. So I put over 8 months. I put on 16 kilos,
Yeah,
12 kilos of muscle, and 4 kilos of fat.
yeah,
Um, and then basically for the amount of work I was putting in, I wasn't letting my body recover properly, and my digestive system started to slow down because it couldn't break down the food fast enough what I was eating. So when I had a high acid buildup
hmm,
from that, and because my stomach was trying to work in overtime,
yeah,
and from there, basically, I ate something, and normally a bacteria was on a piece of food that I ate. Don't know what it was. Normally, that bacteria would just pass through anyone, like you'd never feel it.
yeah.
But because I had the high acid buildup, when that acid met the bacteria, my stomach just exploded.
Ah,
It just exploded, and it was a series of days. It was probably like a 3 day buildup until I was on the floor in my room. It was probably like 10 o'clock at night. I was curled up in the fetal position, and my wife's like, "Oh, I'm calling your dad. Like, you need to go to hospital."
wow.
So, yeah,
That's bad for anyone. If you planning what you were planning, I guess that must have like hit you hard because
yeah,
you had a very strong reason why you were doing what you were doing, which I'd love to talk to in like very shortly. So, but the thing is, like that could have been a setback. You've had setbacks before in your youth and everything. Like
yeah,
you've had a setback also when you started a marathon. You start cramping and everything. So it's very hard if you're not trained to stay mentally there. It's really easy to quit. Everyone would have understand if after 6 weeks of no training and hospital you said like, guys, I can't do it now.
yeah.
No one would have said anything probably, but you didn't do it, of course.
Yeah,
And
well, a couple of people from my family were saying like, we we think you need to reschedule, the date and stuff like that. And I was really close to rescheduling the date. Um, and then one day I woke up and I felt pretty good. So I went to the gym, did some testing, and I added about 10 to 15 kilos onto each lift
Mhm.
just from recovering, just from literally doing nothing for 3 weeks and going into the gym and doing that. And then I realized I was 3 weeks out from the marathon. I go, oh shit, I actually can't train hard now. All the hard work's been done. I just need to maintain what I've got through resistance training and stuff like that.
And I think we've got two very important lessons here, guys. When you have your deload week, be smart. Saying that you've jumped into a class and you did a 2 hours workout is not going to do you any good. Second is you're not going to lose your fitness in a week or two if you've been training consistently for months before. So just take
Yeah,
it and be smart because that's something that a lot of people do. I even do have sometimes myself. If I'm sick for 3 days, I'm like, oh my God, I lost it all. You,
yeah.
you probably,
100%. Like even myself, I think like that. But I mean, coming back to that, I literally didn't have a really good, besides that one testing session,
yeah.
I did not have a hard session for 6 weeks leading into the world's strongest marathon. Did not have one zone 3, zone 2 session. Like literally, I just worked on the resistance band and went for a couple runs. That's it.
But for me, that's that's a very powerful message because like it's yeah, a lot of people get really caught up into training and things like that, and they think that they always have to be dying. I've had sometimes even with my online clients, I get it might have happened to you. They finish a session, they say like, oh, that was okay. I didn't die today. I was like, well, that was meant to be like that. You don't always have to die for any sessions. Like, we're just training to get fit. You're not training to die every single day. And we really underestimate the importance of training like on a lower zone, which I'm also finding now, like how good and how beneficial it is to train like
especially with your endurance, isn't it? Yeah.
It's amazing. Like you finish, you feel good, you feel right, you feel like empowered in some way when you finish those sort of sessions. And I love them. Like I love to go hard and stay in the hurt locker, but I also go out steady, nice and easy, finishing, feel good about myself, and that is amazing. Another thing that I was curious on, because this is just personal for me. Like I see when I have to do like longer training sessions, it always sucks when I start. Every time the first like 2, 3, 5K, I'm like, why am I doing this? It's just like, those voice comes to my head. I never let them win. I'm always like, you shut up for another 2, 3Ks. And then I get into that flow and I'm good to go. What goes through your head when you have to run 50K by yourself on the weekend to get ready for it? Or when you have a car in your back for 15 hours, like what goes through your head and how do you deal with that?
When I had the car on my back, I was just constantly thinking about those children that have been sexually abused when they were younger. So I mean, my wife for the world's strongest marathon was just like out of this world. Like I was so emotional, I was crying and everything. Like it was very powerful, the things I felt on the carpool, and it was very different from just heading out for a 40K, 50K run by yourself. When I get out and go do, a 40, 50K run by myself. I give you, for instance, I think it would have been at the start, in the middle of COVID last year, no races were on. And this is just a prime example. And I put out there that, hey, I'm running up and down this street. It's 1 kilometer, but it's like a W. So you start up the top here, you go down, up the middle hill, down and back up the other hill. And I called it the Levy Street Ultra, and I did that for 10 hours of just doing that. And when I first stepped out, I was like so keen to do it. And then I first stepped out and it was raining.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, why? Like I'm about to run all night through this. I started at 10 p.m. and finished at 8 a.m. in the morning. I was just like, no, why? Like why? And literally, this is the street next to my house. So I could just walk home whenever I wanted. And that was probably one of the toughest things I've had to do mentally. But how I get through that is I think about my why a lot, and as I said in that post that I wrote on Instagram, is that I have forgotten about that guy that I was back then. Right now, I just think about my family, and I want to set an example for my son that things are fucking hard and that you have to go out and you have to do these fucking hard things that suck to create who you want to be and find out who you really are. He's hard. My son's hard might not be. When he grows up, it might not be running 50Ks. I don't expect it to be that. But you need to do things that suck to develop yourself. And I think the things that suck, like everyone I speak to, all the stuff I do sucks to everyone. Oh, that'd be hard. That sucks. Why would you do that? And I'm sure it's the same for you, but just like, because I love it. Like I actually love things that suck. And it's like, I love it, but I freaking hate it so much. And it's something that it's something I love about myself, but I also hate it about myself. Yeah. And I hear my wife says, just relax. Like, can you just relax? And I'm like, I'm trying.
It's I think like there's a really, really powerful connection from being physically strong to be mentally strong. If you're physically strong, it's because you've been through years and years and years of hard sucking work. Yeah. So then when you have to do anything in your life, whether it's going through a hard moment, supporting someone that is in need, whatever the case may be, you have even the mental toughness to go through it, because you put your body and your mind through so much that everything else kind of feels easy. Because people might be overwhelmed, they might have problems and everything, but if you learn how to deal with them and you build a habit. That's why I wanted to ask you, because I think a lot of people quit because it's very easy. It's the most easy thing you can do. You can just stop running, go back to your home, and there's no consequences for it until when you actually have a consequence into quitting something, which might be, you have to spend an extra night working. If not, you lose your job or you lose that client. And then you're not keen to do that because you've rewarded yourself every time for things that you haven't accomplished. You went into bed when you should have been out running. You gave yourself a reward for something that you haven't, like that you don't deserve. And I think it's something that you kind of build with time. It's like, no, if I build, like, at some point, the option of quitting just leaves, is not there anymore. So if you need to work an extra hour to make sure that your program goes to all your clients and you're not late, you work the extra hours because you've learned not to quit before. That's why I wanted to ask you, like, how do you go through those hours? And also they're having a strong why. It's something that I can't emphasize enough. I'm like, sometimes when people come to the gym, it's like, hey, why you come? It's like, well, because my friend told me to go. I was like, well, you're not going to last a month. So if the only reason why you come to the gym is because your friend told you that you should, you're going to do a month and then you're going to quit. Like, find why it's really important for you to come to the gym. If not, you're just wasting your and my time even.
Yeah. Well, I really think, like, it's funny how you said that, like, the physical aspect and the mental aspect, they come hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
But the physical aspect of things, I feel these days is more important than developing your mind at the start. Because if you're trying to develop your mind, but you're not happy with yourself physically of where you're at, look wise or fitness level wise, you're not going to have confidence to be able to get through whatever, or the things that suck of what you're going to be able to do. It was different for someone like myself. Like, and I was speaking to a mentor of mine about this, is that I went the complete opposite to that. I was still fat when I completed my first half marathon. When I completed my first 50K, I was still fat.
Yeah.
You know, when I completed my first 24 hour, I was still fat. I'd never felt comfortable in my own skin and confident enough that these people are gonna, like me, gonna look at me, blah, 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 whatever. I'm still that fat, ugly guy, but I'm doing it anyway, because I think what I had, and a benefit from someone like myself, was I had been this physically fit guy when I was younger. So I knew I had it in here. It was just changing all of this that was in front of me that you could physically see.
Yeah.
Like, I knew what I had to push myself to get to. Like, I knew that from the start. As soon as I moved out here, as soon as I completed that half marathon, I was like, that's what I fucking want. This is what I want. I want to be this guy that when you finish something, or not that guy, but I want to get to the level where I finish something and I collapse.
Yeah. Which sounds like mental, but that's exactly like, that's the best feeling to search.
And that's the next thing. I'm pretty sure you would do it with your clients 100%, is goal setting. Like, goal setting, even if you don't write it down, if you have certain things that you want to achieve in your head, remind yourself of them every single day. Even something that I find that helps mentally, and my wife has actually taught me this, is words of affirmation to yourself. Is that, it might sound really stupid, but like, you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, oh, you look good today.
Yeah.
Even though you may not look good to the next best person, who cares? You're not trying to impress them. You're trying to do stuff for yourself. And that's all that matters.
Just a few days ago, I was listening to a very good podcast that was talking just about this. And it was like, if in your mind, like, bringing up your example, which is exactly what they brought up, it was like, if in your mind you're still the chubby guy, you're going to behave as the chubby guy. It's going to be easier.
That is exactly right.
It's going to be easier to sit down and watch Netflix. But if you switch into your head that you're not the chubby guy, now I'm the ultra runner, you're going to behave as the ultra runner. When you work at home, you feel yourself like you're like not going to make enough money and you feel low, you're going to stay there. If you feel like you're an entrepreneur, you dress up as one and you think as one, you're more likely to take the steps that are necessary to get where you want to be. So, waking up in the morning, like, I feel like, oh, fuck, I'm an Ironman guy now, which I'm fucking far from being like a successful but in my head, I do what an Ironman would do. So I eat my clean food, I hit my training hours, and I do what my coach says, because I need to do those things. And it's very powerful. Like the way you set your mind into can really, like, if you behave as who you want to be, is going to be a lot easier to do the things that that person would do.
Yep, 100%. And I could not agree more. Like, the mentality side of things, of when I was still fat, but I completed that half marathon, I go, fuck, I love this feeling. Fuck, I want to be, from that moment on, I knew I had what it takes to potentially one day, if I took all the right steps, to be one of the fittest guys on the planet.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, that's like, yeah, it sounds cocky to people, but I tell myself that, like, one day you're going to be the fittest guy on the planet. And
you're not taking away anything from anyone. You're just reaffirming yourself who you want to be. Like,
exactly right. It's like someone going there and say, I want to be a school teacher.
Go ahead and smash it.
But when someone wants to be a school teacher, that's okay. But when someone says they want to be the best at something, it's like, oh, what's you're cocky. What are you doing? And that's where I never said that to anyone. For the first couple of years, I never said that to anyone, ever. It would just stay in my mind until I had the balls to go out to my dad that day and say, I'm going to do the world's strongest marathon. And I was like, from that point on, I knew I had it in me to be whatever I wanted to be. Because I knew what guy I wanted to be, but I never wanted to put myself in that vulnerable position. And then I just said to myself, if not now, then when? Yeah. And that scared me. So I was like, I just need to bite the bullet now while I'm young. I'm still 23, got nothing to lose. I'm pretty sure when Ross did his stuff like the carpool and all of that, he was like 26 or something like that. So he's still 3 or 4 years ahead of me. And I need to remind myself that I'm only 23. Like, I've got heaps of time on my hands.
One thing that is amazing in all this process is that, you watch Ross, you get all hyped and everything, and everyone always have that spike of motivation, but then the discipline that comes after that is something that people tend to lose fairly quickly. And what really amazed me of you is that, it's really cool. You watch an inspirational video, that guy's crushing you. Oh, you feel like you want to go out and smash the world. Then you wake up a little bit tired the day after and he's already kind of gone. And it's very hard to make that step from being motivated to be disciplined. And it's something that I really admire in you, and the way you carried over on your marathon and the way you're doing also now. Is like, my motivation is not different into some other events, but my discipline is the same. I'm still going to do what I need to do and go. And the reason why I believe your discipline is so high, because it's the why you have on your back, it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so the reason why I did the world's strongest marathon, I guess at the start, was quite a personal reason. Yeah. But I knew that it had the opportunity to turn heads globally. Yeah. That's it. I knew it had the opportunity to go global. And when my son was born, my wife, she started feeling the full force of PTSD. So she was sexually abused when she was younger. And when this all first came out, I couldn't really find anywhere of how to help her, which scared me. Then I started to look up the statistics of this thing, and I was absolutely blown away about the statistics. I think it's one child every 11 minutes gets sexually abused in Australia. That is the statistic.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. Over 1 billion children get sexually abused every year around the world, globally. And it's probably more than that, more than 1 billion, because those are just the reported ones.
Yeah, which is probably a small percentage of everything that actually happened.
Yeah, so people who have spoken up or gotten caught in the act, that's what's registered. And it's so crazy. So we've raised over 35,000 for Child Safe Australia, which they go into your sporting clubs, your schools, and they put in these procedures to make sure they're keeping our children safe. So you can't just go and sign up your children
Yeah.
into this club with no recollection of how they're going to actually keep your children safe, besides having all the volunteers there, So in doing that, we've raised over $30,000. I think our goal is to hit 35,000, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's I think I'm a child safe ambassador now, so everything I do is going to be, all the other challenges that I have planned and coming up is going to be done to raise awareness for child abuse, because I don't want anyone to have to go, any family to ever have to go through what my family is currently going through, because it's freaking heartbreaking.
I bet, like the first time I heard the story, and I was like, fuck, it's like, I told you, like, I was riding my bicycle, I was listening to what you wanted to do and the reason why you wanted to do, and I was like, fuck, this is just, it's like, I don't have kids, but fuck, I could feel that on a very deep level. I think like every human sort of can connect to that thing, whether you have a family or you don't have one.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening now and they would like to support the cause or anything, what is something that they could do?
Man, if you want to support the cause, even if you just have a spare dollar, like, man, a dollar can go such a long way, like with paper and stuff like that they print out these programs on, so the GoFundMe is in my bio on Instagram. If you just search GoFundMe World's Strongest Marathon, it's all there. All the money goes directly to child safe. I don't even get to see it. So it's pretty safe doing it all through GoFundMe. And I'd appreciate anyone's support for now and in the future challenges, because we're going to have some pretty big things coming up, including the next one, and especially over the next 2 years. So you keep your eyes peeled.
So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put all these links in the show notes to make sure that everyone can easily access to them. And please just go out and help. I'm going to do the same myself as soon as this conversation is over. Now, tell me what you can of what's coming, and what you can't, just don't tell me yet. But what are the plans? We've heard a few. Do you have more of that?
So we've got we've got the Tree Man, which is an Iron Man with a 100-pound tree. We're actually in the talks of thinking about switching out a tree. So I'm talking to my team at the moment of people, and we're trying to think, is there a cooler item that we can actually carry instead of a tree?
Me.
So
I'll come with you. I'm a little
I'll put you on my back.
So we can chat as we go.
I'll put you on my back.
Yeah, just so I come there and we just go and have fun together.
And you can say you finished an Ironman.
Yeah, mate. Like, honestly, I was so hyped this week, and I have my first like 70.3 as a training, and I was so hyped. Like, oh, I'm doing something cool, and now talking to you, it feels like a small training session.
Oh, you're doing awesome. I'm actually doing a triathlon with the tree at a triathlon event as like a special guest thing, because they said I can come down and just do it just for some training. I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And then the next thing we're going to try and plan, but it is a big plan. So we're going to try and bring on some pretty major sponsors for it, which is the world's strongest 100-miler. Yeah.
Same format, same car.
Probably not the same car, not the same format, because we're going to do it. Well, this is the picture I painted in my head. We're going to do it across Australia's straightest road in the Nullarbor Desert, where it can get anywhere up to.
It would have been too easy, right? So let's just go out in the desert. That's 100 mile, right? So it's 160K.
160 Ks, yeah, on Australia's straightest road.
Time frame?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be looking to get it done, I'd say just within a week. You can get 20, 30 Ks a day done. But depending on the weight of the car, we might try and just go for it.
I'll give you one suggestion. Just make sure that there's not the 7-degree slope, because that was a hard one.
Yeah, the hill, I'll be making sure there is no hill in this course, because the hill in my course bloody killed me.
For those of you who don't know, when I was watching him getting ready, he has like on the loop that he was doing the marathon, there was just like this. How much was it? It was like just 7 meters, 10
Yeah,
meters.
so over the whole loop, it was 7 meters elevation. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And that,
that one hill, that one spike hill, I think was about 3 meters. So it's still pretty big when you're pulling a car. It doesn't feel like anything when you're walking up it, but
no, but
when you're
I saw
pulling
you were spitting blood out of it. So I thought that
it,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
really challenging.
Oh, that was the one
Hey,
training. That was the one training run where that was the worst. I'll tell you about that actually. That was pretty cool. Well, it was pretty cool for me, but pretty scary for everyone else. Because I felt sick during the day that day. I felt really off, and we're going in for a 25K carpool. I put it out there to the community, and I had about 150 people show up. So there's a lot of people there. I got to about, I think I got to about 8Ks in,
yeah.
and I started vomiting everywhere, projectile vomiting everywhere. Like, yeah, just all over the floor. It was crazy. And I think I vomited 4 times on that one stop. And then I was like, no, all right, I can keep on going. So I went. And then when I got to, would have been a 13K mark. So I pushed through to 13Ks and I was coming up to the hill and I was really struggling. I was cramping all the way through. I had a massive throbbing headache because I was just so dehydrated. I lost everything vomiting.
Oh,
And I got up the top of that hill and I felt like I was going to pass out. So I dropped to my knees. My head like was spinning, throbbing, and yeah, blood just started pouring out of both nostrils, just really, really bad. And apparently, that's a good indication of high blood pressure. Not too sure. Like, could lead to stroke or heart attack. Um, and I was like, no, I'm not stopping. Like, I've got to get to 15. I need to get to either 15 or 20. Like, I'm not stopping at an odd number, a random number of being. So then I pushed all the way through to 15 and I was like, the time, I think the last 2Ks, it took me an hour, so the time I was getting, it just wasn't worth it. I was getting half an hour a K. Normally I'm getting about 16 minutes a K. So I literally doubled my time per K. And yeah, I pulled up there at 15Ks, but that was the worst one of them all was that bleeding nose because they were running out like taps. I've never had that before. It's
Hey,
crazy.
man, I saw the video and I was like, what the fuck? I even messaged like, man, did you made it after that? I was like, are you alive? Like, how's everything? I was also worried because like, I bet everyone around was a little bit concerned. Of course you were not.
Oh
You're
yeah.
all good. But
Yeah.
I bet that few people like started to question the thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, they did. They were like, is he gonna stop? Are you gonna stop?
mate, this is a little bit out of your thing, but are you following what Iron Cowboy James is doing?
Yeah, yeah, I am. It's pretty crazy what he's doing.
It's nuts. Like
Yeah,
I catched up like on the third day. So for those of you who don't know this, this guy in Utah is doing a full Ironman every day. So 4K swim, 180K bike, and a marathon run. And if you think that's not crazy enough, he's doing it for 100 consecutive days. So 100
yeah,
full Ironman, one Ironman a day.
yeah,
Things that blow my mind is that he's going always through the same course. So at least the first 25, 27 days, it went through the same lap. So I guess just like you, after you go around the lap a few times, it's like on one side, you know
yeah.
exactly where you are. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, Jesus, I'm again here.
I know. Well, my Ironman course that I have mapped out is at Bondi Beach. You know Bondi Beach
Yeah.
in Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah, so along Bondi Beach, there's a 1K track that goes up and down the beach, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. It was
I'll
like,
do, I'll do 180 laps of that, and then I'll do another 42 running it.
that's just crazy because like mentally you feel like a hamster going in circle. You don't feel
Yeah,
probably like on one side is great because you know exactly the distance, so you know how you're feeling whenever you pass through, so it gives you good indication. But on the other
yeah.
hand, you might also feel like I'm fucking not going anywhere and I've been here for hours. So I think you have to kind of weight it a little bit, like what's good and what's bad.
I love that stuff. Like I love that mentally pushing stuff because I mean I have this is I'll tell you the story of how I met my four best mates,
Yeah,
right?
go
That
for
I
it.
have now. My four best mates I have now. They messaged me through Instagram.
Right, I guess
And
these are the four like crazy head that were with you last night running outside, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so.
I
Yeah.
think So I think one of them actually wasn't there on that night, but so there's only 3 of them that were there, and they messaged me on Instagram and they said we want to start pushing ourselves. Can you coach us? And then I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then I said, if you guys want to start pushing yourselves, I'm actually running a marathon on Saturday. And they're like, oh shit. And I just wanted to see what they'd say. And they're like, yep, okay, we'll come. Mind you, these guys have never run more than 5Ks before, ever. You know? And so they rock up and I said, meet me at this location. I sent them a pin drop and they showed up. I said, I'll supply all the nutrition for you. Okay. And they're like, all right, sweet, no worries. So I set up a table, had all the nutrition for them. And they said, so where are we running to? And I said, oh, we're just doing 1K loops. And I said, you're going to watch your car every single time you run past. You know, I want you to see your car. And they go, ha ha ha, yeah, okay. And they didn't believe me. And we did 3 loops. And they go, you weren't joking, eh? And I go, nah, I'm not joking.
I'm gonna give you 42 chances to give up. Let's see if you can't stay with me.
Yeah.
Why I think this is amazing to kind of like also round it up, because I believe the power of the people you surround yourself with. And as we were talking at the beginning, like the environment you were in, how bad that was for you and how out of track it got you to a point of almost not coming back, and how moving somewhere else and finding a more positive environment has literally changed your life and everything you do. You could be these for these people that reached out to you. It's like these people probably needed a better environment and you're providing that. So what got you out of trouble, you're now being that person that might be taking someone else out of trouble and show them that there's a way to do things. And I think this is amazing, like the whole journey, how it started, that you needed someone to get you out of shit and now people come to you to get out of shit. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I try and, I guess, I get messages all the time like, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? But I'm in the opportunity now where I need to pick and choose who I want to help because I'm just so busy. And also because I can tell when someone is just plainly talking shit and they don't actually want to do it, to whether they actually like, no, I'm fucking keen. Because I mean, these boys, if they weren't keen, they would have said, oh no, we're sorry, like we actually got something on Saturday night. But these boys rocked up and I said to them, look, this thing's gonna suck, but I tell you what, I'm gonna finish and I'm gonna go with yous and I'm gonna talk yous through this whole thing. Like, you're gonna get through it. And I was telling him about how you got to change your footing up so you can work different. All those little tiny muscles, tendons, and ligaments that, changing up your pace and your cadence, that you can activate all different things, so take leverage off different muscles and all of that. And they understood. I was telling them how many calories they needed to put in their body to be able to keep up. And they did all of that. And I think all 3 of them finished. Sorry, one of them started to get cramps towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, whoa, like we actually did that. And they finished it in, I think, 5.5 hours it was. So it wasn't the fastest marathon, but they still like freaking got it done.
Through it. Like, it's like, show me what you've got. Like, are you just talking or are you keen to do that?
Oh, mind you, we started this run at midnight too. I told them to meet me there at midnight because I was going to do it by myself at midnight, and they still showed up at midnight.
If someone shows up at midnight to running a marathon, we do 42 times a run a 1 kilometer lap after they've never run more than 5K, I would consider that a good level of commitment and someone that I would enjoy to work with.
Yeah.
I think they've proved themselves. Like, even going like a sub 4 hours, that would have been asking a little bit too much for the first time. But I think they did
100%, man. Like, the next day, because I was looking for a training partner for my world's strongest marathon.
Yeah.
And and one of the boys, he's like, was level strength with me.
Yeah.
And ran the marathon. And I said to him, bro, like, you really proved to me that, I really want you to train with me because I know you can get up. I was getting up at 1 a.m. in the morning to train before work, get 4 or 5 hours in before work, so, and he was getting up with me for all them training sessions. He said, far out, it'd be an honor to come and train with you and work with you. So, and now he's one of my best mates, because he spent all that time together in the gym with no one there.
So get to know each other. Me that when people say that they have no time is bullshit?
Yep. I have a close mate, man. Like, I wouldn't say he's a close mate now, but he's an old friend of mine, and I've tried to help him a little bit growing up and throughout the years. And I said he's telling me how he got laid off his job during COVID, and I was like, sweet, there's colleges here giving out free courses, free 6-week courses. Like, go and get educated in something. And so I'm sending him these links of all of this stuff, and he goes to me, I don't have time. I don't have time to. I go, you just fucking got laid off your job. Well, how do you not have time? I've got a family. I've got a full-time job. I'm training for a world record, and you're telling me you don't have time? Like, what are you doing?
You always have time. That's something that I also truly believe in. Like, if you want, you'll make the time. But there's no way
Yeah,
you
100%.
don't have time. You just don't want it enough. But that
100%.
struck with me, like when you talk the story, because I was like, I hear it so many times. Like sometimes I ask people, it's like, hey, you need an hour a day. It's like, oh, but I can't do it. You can. You have 1 hour
Yeah,
a day. Like, I'm not asking you. Like, I can understand some people might not have 6 hours a day for training, and that's fully understandable. I was like, 1 hour to move. So I'm sure we can find it.
that's like a lot of people said to me, how are you going to train for this while you have a full-time job? I said, easy. I'm training in the mornings. Oh, you're going to have to train a fair bit. Yeah, I know. I'm getting up at 1 a.m. It's all good.
But I think
Oh,
that's also,
what?
that kind of goes back to what I thought at the beginning when I told you that I was looking at games authors like, oh, there must be on something, because you can't. So if you don't have someone setting the standard in the example, you don't even know that it's possible to wake up at 4 to working out. Like I thought it was inconceivable for me years ago. I was like, who the fuck wakes? I didn't even thought people would
Yeah.
and train in the middle of the night until I saw someone doing it. I was like, oh fuck, okay, you can actually do that. You can do more, but like you also
Yeah.
need your dad to get you off the bed at 4 in the morning. Sure, hey mate, you can run an half marathon in the morning. Stop being a pussy.
Yeah.
Like you kind of need someone that shows you, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you can do this shit. And then after you see that it's possible, it's really up to you. It's like, yeah, am I gonna keep on doing this or am I not going to keep on doing this? But I think like the showing you that is possible to wake up early and do it. I train 3 times a day and I still have a job as well. And,
Yeah.
just
100%.
decide that I don't value dinners out and drinking much, so I just give up
Yeah.
on those and train more.
100%. I think the crazy thing is also like when I went through this world's strongest marathon thing, it was that I wanted it more than absolutely anything in the world. Like, it was the one thing that I was focused on for so long. Like, I saw it 4 years ago, and for it to all come to fruition,
Yeah,
it's like, dude, like, it's absolutely crazy. And my body is so used to like staying up for, you know, I can stay up for almost 48 hours easy now, like, and
right.
yeah. And another thing is, I don't know where your stand is on this, but I got told by a lot of people, a lot of nutritionists and stuff like that, like, if you don't sleep, or because I normally go to sleep at around 10 o'clock, and then I'm getting back up at 1. So, I'm only getting 3, 4, 5 hours sleep in most nights. And over the weekends, if I'm running through the night, because while my family's sleeping, I'll get up, and they are, you know, I'll get up, they'll get up in the morning, and I'll be awake all day the next day as well. And they're like, oh, you're not going to recover properly. And I didn't recover properly, but they also told me that I'm not going to gain muscle or strength. And I gained 12 kilos of muscle in 8 months. So must be doing something right.
Absolutely. Like I think like everything, you kind of need to find the right adjustment that works for you. For me, that was the same thing. I switched on a plant diet. It was like, oh, you're gonna lose all your gains.
Yeah.
I didn't. So people will always say shit. And then if you just let that
100%.
condition the way you train and the way you live your life, how many
And
times
everyone's individualized, man. Everyone's individualized.
people will tell you that you hurt your knees if you squat. So, people just say shit. You don't have to listen to all of it. You're just like, all right, cool. It's all right. I'll do me.
Yeah.
See you next.
That's like another thing with my myself. I actually have a torn meniscus at the moment. I've had it for about we've had it for about 3 years now, I think. And I got told, yeah, you need to get surgery, or you're not gonna run again, or you're not gonna play OzTag or whatever. And I was like, don't tell me what to do. It's the same thing with my brother. My little brother, he has a torn meniscus now too. And the doctors told him, yeah, you're gonna have to get surgery for the 3rd time, or you're never gonna run again. And I'm like, bro, don't listen to him. Don't get surgery. I'm gonna coach you, and you're gonna get there. Now he's actually signed up for his first ultra marathon.
Mate, like that's such a huge thing. I think like so many doctors, they definitely have the knowledge, but they not sport people. Like when I was younger, they told me that I could have not even jog or my heart would explode because I had some like rhythmic problem on my heart. So they didn't want me to play any sport. It was like, look, you're dying. So it was like, if you go on a bicycle, you're gonna die. And then luckily my sport team at the time is like the best sport team in Italy. They had the most famous cardiologist like in the world probably. And he looked at me and he used to look at athletes and was like, no, you're fine. We just need to do this. But if my mom would have listened to that, she would took me
Yeah.
out of every sport, not make me move anymore. And instead of
Yeah.
like now sport is my job, my life, my passion, my everything. And
Yeah.
literally one doctor could have changed the course of my life, just putting me through something that I didn't need.
Yep.
I'm not saying don't go to doctors, like clearly go to it, but you know, there's always like just maybe look for other opinion as well, because there's always
Yeah.
that.
My doctor that I go and see, he doesn't believe in acupuncture. But
Okay.
I get acupuncture all the time. My whole 8 months of the world's strongest marathon, every single Monday I went to acupuncture
Seems
without
like
fail.
that's fine, hey?
Yeah, every single Monday. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome.
Mate, I think we had an amazing chat. I'm so happy we finally managed to catch up. Like the next step now,
No
when
way.
everything goes back to normal, is that I need to make it to Australia because Nick, he couldn't make it today. He's my business partner. He's in Australia, so I need to make it there at some point. And I would love to meet you. Or if you
Yes.
ever happen to be in Bali, there's so many places we can run and cycle around
Yes.
here. So thank you for the time. Thank you for all the things that you've done and the awareness that you raise, and even the bar, like showing people what you can do and how like what you've done in the past doesn't really matter if you have the willingness
Yeah.
to change and become a better human being. So I think you're doing an amazing job. I'm going to leave all your social media so people can come and follow you and be in touch with you. You already have quite a lot of DMs. I guess some
Yeah.
people will send you some more, but mate, thank you so much for being here with us.
No, thank you. Thank you. If I could say anything to anyone is trust the process because it's freaking hard. It's a journey, but you need to want to change to create change. So no doubt.
And I think here we can wrap it up. Thank you
That's
so
it.
much.
Thank you, brother.